Stepping into the ring, with a crowd of onlookers chanting his name, was a human who looked to be in his late 40s. His hair already graying, and a worn look to his features. But his eyes were as sharp as any blade as they scanned the crowd before him. The crowd under his gaze parted, revealing his opponent. Like the human, he showed his age, but unlike his opponent, he was an elf. Millennia had passed in his lifetime, and at that age he had become peerless, someone without equal amongst even other races. It is often said that a duel between true masters is over before it even begins, that those at the pinnacle would be able to know who the winner would be instinctively. "Human, are you certain you wish to continue this?" The elven master of the blade asked, his voice wheezing with his age. "Aye, sure as I will ever be," the man replied, nodding while flashing a crooked smile, which the elf returned in kind. "Both competitors for the title of the greatest blade have agreed to duel. Victory can only be claimed by death or submission. The bout shall begin when the bell is rung," a loud, boisterous voice announced from a raised platform overlooking the arena. Both men looked up at the announcer, nodding to confirm they understood the rules. With the duel set to begin, the onlookers all retreated to the stands to see what would be history in the making. This was the first time in history that the greatest blade, as he was known, had accepted a challenge from a human. A loud clang rang out, as the bell rang to indicate the start. Immediately, the air froze around the two men as they locked eyes with one another. The tension was such that even their swords may struggle to cut it. The human grinned, letting the world around him fade, all the noise and distractions now gone. Only the elf remained. Both men drew their respective swords, the elf holding his thin blade down by his leg, while the human held his up in front of his body. With an explosion of energy, the human burst towards the elf, surprising him with the sheer speed of his movement. Bringing his sword down in a wire slash, he watched as the elf merely twitched his wrist, as he brought up his own sword to deflect the blow, responding with a rapid slash, cutting the man's throat. The man blinked his eyes, and he was back where he had started. "Guess you are as good as they say you are," the man grumbled. The elf smiled back. "I am glad to be up to your measure." Shifting his foot forward about an inch, the elf sprung forward, this time delivering a truly terrifying flurry of blows that the human was barely able to detect, let alone defend against. This flurry continued for minutes, till the elf began to tire, his breathing growing ragged. Seeing his opening, the human lunged forward with the tip of his sword, piercing the elf's chest and cutting his heart in two. The elf looked down at the blade through his chest before blinking, returning to where he had started. Both men stood still as statues, only their eyes darting in every direction as they planned their next move, only to see the phantom of their motion be met and bested. "I dare say we are rather evenly matched. It would be a coin toss to who would win." "Aye, it does seem that way," the man nodded. "I will admit I am rather cowardly, and don't enjoy having such even odds. I have experienced an age since I last met a foe that might actually best me." The man nodded. "Agreed. What say that we settle this not with blades but beverages?" "Settle with a contest of drinks? Well, I ain't gonna say no to that." The crowd, who had been watching this exchange, were left thoroughly confused. After the bell had rung, all that had happened from their perspective was the human had wiggled his sword a little, and the elf had shifted his foot forwards. "Oi! What about the fight?" a voice in the crowd angrily shouted. The man looked at the elf. "Draw?" The elf nodded in response. "Yes, referee, it is a draw. It has been centuries since I have met someone who would be able to block my attacks. It would be a shame to lose such an interesting foe so soon after meeting." With that statement, both men sheathed their blades, leaving the audience even more confused. They had come to see a fight between two true masters, only to see nothing at all. But the masters knew. They, like all true masters, could see several steps ahead, like in a game of chess. No fool would continue a game when they would ultimately be checkmated.